Hello, Springfield theater lovers. Welcome to Beyond the Boards, STC edition, the podcast where we pull back the curtain and take you behind the scenes and into the heart of STC and Springfield's vibrant theater community.
Whether you're a performer, director, designer, stage manager, volunteer, audience member, or someone who's simply curious about all that happens before the spotlight comes on, you are in the right place. Beyond the Board will keep you hip on all things STC as we celebrate the people, productions, stories, and inspirations that drive Springfield's thriving theater community.
Excellent. So since this is our inaugural episode, let me tell you a little bit about myself, and Sean will tell you about himself. So I am a wannabe playwright. I love...
Nope. You are a playwright. You are a playwright.
So, I'm
Put
definitely
some respect on your name.
I'm definitely trying, but I also love theater. And Emily, I started off predominantly enjoying like Arthur Miller and things like that. And then, of course, Emily has gotten me more and more into musicals, and I really enjoy musicals. And maybe one day I'll do a fun like rock musical. I don't know, but
yes, you will.
That would be fun. That would be fun. But yeah. So, I also love podcasting, and I'm so excited to actually get, in case you're wondering, dear listener, the boards is kind of a colloquial term for, the stage. And so what we want to do here is go beyond what one would see on the stage and go to beyond the boards. And so with me is, if you've been to any show probably in the past, at least the past 5 years, you know who Sean Robb is. But I want him to introduce himself because this man has been in some of the biggest productions in Springfield. So, Sean, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, stop. Trying to make me blush.
You know I'm right.
Anywho, yes, I am Sean Robb. I'm originally from Decatur, Illinois. I grew up in show choir and orchestra and, as artsy as I could get coming through junior high school and high school. I did take a huge break from the stage, but I regained traction in 2020, 2021 in Decatur. And then I joined the Springfield theater community in 2024. It was a very exciting year for me. I got to meet new friends, collaborate with new people. And ever since then, I've been going strong. I've been kind of strengthening other elements of myself as it pertains to theater. I've gone on from just a performer to a choreographer to a director, and now I'm exploring a bunch of other things with a bunch of very inspiring people, which is both intimidating and a blessing. But yeah, that's a bit about me and how I ended up here on this podcast with Chris Noel.
So we're here, Chris and Sean here, and we're actually here. You may have heard him a little earlier, but we're actually here with Reggie Guyton. And this, when I tell you once again, I am in esteemed company. Reggie, much like Sean, Reggie, this man has been all over the place. We're talking, he's a performer, director. My gosh, if memory serves, you've been animated at this point. Like you were directly involved with it. Tell us more. You were also a Best of Springfield Award winner. Is that correct?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks for having me, Chris and Sean. I really appreciate this. Yeah. So I moved to Springfield after I graduated from Blackburn College in 2014. And my first show was in 2011. Oh gosh. And my first Springfield show, I should say, was in 2011, and that was Hairspray at the Muni. Okay. Since then, I've been able to work with a lot of different theater people, theater goers, choreographers, producers, directors, etc. I was an artist in residence at UIS, and that was a crazy experience. It led to both original music and original poetry, which was really cool. And as you mentioned before, I I have been animated in a film called Unsinkable Freedom, which premiered earlier this year in February 2026. Really great experience. Shout out to the exhibits and theaters division, and for Mariah Brooks and Chrissy Mock for being a part of that production, and Cameron Gates, who animated the feature. But yeah, I could go on. What?
I said you better name drop.
Oh yeah, of course. Credit creators and artists.
Yes,
that's important. I can go on, but I don't really want to. That's a lot.
I was about to say, please do, because I mean, you also had a one-man show at the Abraham Lincoln Museum, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So over quarantine period, which was the first one, 2020, I wrote a show called Small Beginnings about Robert Smalls, who a formerly enslaved man who escaped by commandeering a Confederate steamship and then piloted it into enemy lines. And from there, that launched both a military career and it led to a stint in government as a representative of South Carolina. So
he was an incredible dude. Like, it would make an amazing movie. I can't believe nobody's made this movie yet.
We keep saying that, but I just feel like there's nothing left to do except for just do it. So call me.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a really cool experience. It is a one-man show, but there's live music underscoring it as well. Shout out to Randy Skillicky, who did all of the composing for that music.
Great collaboration.
Yeah. Well, I feel like in theater, there's collaboration in general. Like you have to collaborate on some way, shape, or form. But to be able to do it with people that you have already built community with is so rewarding. And it honestly saves a lot of grief in the long run.
I mean, was it intimidating? Like, doing what is it? How is it different doing a one-man show versus working with like an ensemble?
Oh gosh. So in addition to like having all of the responsibility of figuring out how to communicate that story, I feel as though you have to find different ways to make it understandable.
Sure.
In the museum, you're going to get age ranges from like obviously little babies that aren't comprehending, but
right.
First and second grade, all the way up through, the sunset years. So it's like people at different places think about different things. So a child might ask what slavery was like, and then you got to explain that in a way that they can comprehend, and kind of let them lead the conversation as far as like what they can grasp. But for other people, it might be, what was the U.S. Navy routes like at that point in time? Like how was he able to do all of this? What obstacles did you find that he would have had to overcome in order to make this happen? And, different questions, different levels of difficulty, but still very important.
For sure. And using your abilities in the arts, to further expand the scope at which you project these stories is fascinating for sure.
It's probably the most rewarding part, honestly. I love theater that has a meaning. Oftentimes there is some meaning, a really good meaning underneath all of it. But maybe not as easy to understand or as overt as some other pieces. But I'm always really attracted to meaty subjects, and whether that is generational trauma, whether that is navigating systems that harm every day, or trying to peel back the layers of triumph for a different community. Like I'm attracted to all of those things, and whether there's music involved or not, I just love the vehicle of theater.
Along with Brianna Good-Price, you are co-directing STC's production of Four Colored Girls Who Have Considered Suicide When the Rainbow Is Enough, set to open this weekend. I mean,
it does.
That's huge. That's huge.
It is so huge, and I'm grateful to STC for even being interested in putting on this work, um, because Black theater is something that a lot of people don't necessarily get a lot of in this town. But you know,
No, they
we've been
don't
told
at
for
all.
years that Black theater isn't marketable, that it won't sell, and repeatedly we keep selling out, and I just love that for us.
Oh my gosh, when I about Fences, whoo, it made me so happy. I love that play. So that was fantastic. Great job too.
Thank you.
But how did this opportunity kind of come to you? Why this play in particular?
So I would be remiss if I did not mention Samantha Gaines, and Deshani Minor as well. Deshani and Sam are good friends of mine. They've been very important to my theater understanding and come up, and I'm very thankful for them. But Deshani was very insistent, like, okay, Sam, you definitely should be doing For Color Girls. And Sam originally was going to be the director, and I was going to kind of help behind the scenes with like some soundscaping and stuff, but nothing major, just, let her do her thing and just kind of be here, whatever. But Sam got another opportunity and unfortunately had to hand off the directorial role, and she asked me to take over. But I was like, I'm only going to do this with but a Black woman on the team. It is very important when we tell these types of stories that the people who are telling them have representation in all aspects.
Absolutely.
I think it's very important.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily, Brianna was very, very interested in being a part of this process. It's her first time directing, and she is absolutely smashing it out of the park.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's very full circle for us because we both were in 2011's production, or Muni's production of Hairspray. I was Seaweed and she was Lil Inez, so we've been brother and sister since she was 11. She was 11 and I was 20, and now, since I was 20, and now here we are all this time later, still locked in. That's my sister, and to see the progress that she's made, to see the steps that she's taken, and now she's doing her first directorial role. It brings me so much joy.
Awesome.
Because I'm gonna say it here first. Brianna is a quadruple threat, and people do not give her the credit that they should.
Okay.
She's a singer.
Oh, no, for
she's
sure.
An actress. She's a dancer. She's a writer. She arranges, quadruple. So it's like to be able to see her shine and to have this process and delegate and lead. It just brings me so much joy to watch that. And I'm really sad she couldn't be here, but she's doing great things.
Yeah. Well, can you, for those of us who maybe haven't heard of the show or haven't seen the movie, of course, that has an amazing cast as well, can you kind of give us a brief overview of what to expect from the show? Like, what's it about, and kind of how many tissues will we need coming into this?
Oh, about a lot. I mean, you might just get you could probably get a travel pack.
Yeah.
But you'll need more. Like, you'll need like 2.
Yeah.
You can get the little square box if you want. That might cover it. Just make sure it's the Puffs brand. You don't want no chafing. But For Color Girls is a choreo poem that encapsulates a variety of Black women's experiences. And I say specifically Black women because there is a language and a narrative that this follows that is not quite intersectional, even though it can be relatable.
Absolutely.
And I want to highlight that too, because in this industry, very often Black women don't get to tell their stories that are real and raw and authentic. There's always like this polish or a stereotype or something pushed onto them, and it's really just it. They typically misinform Black women's stories.
Absolutely.
In this collection of poems, we have a variety of experiences about loving someone, and not having that be reciprocated. We have stories of women just existing in systems and trying to cope with it all, as well as um, the effects of partner violence and um, just Black women taking up space and sharing the the hmm, Black women taking up space and sharing the temperature of that space,
Absolutely.
whether that's internal or external.
Yeah.
And I mean, these are some heavy themes. I mean, it's beautiful works, and with that said, I mean, it takes very powerful humans to, you know, portray these characters and tell these stories. I mean, you've got Tiffany Williams up there, Nicole Pedigo, Taylor Rao. You know, just to dive a little deeper behind the scenes of things, being surrounded by such powerful women here in the Springfield theater community, what is a rehearsal like for you in that environment?
So what I can say is that every time I leave rehearsal, I leave with a smile on my face. I might have cried. I might have been like, dang, I kind of feel like I just got, caught up by the scruff a little bit, but in the rehearsal, we start off first checking in with each other, like, hey, you good? You anything you want to talk about? Anything you don't want to talk about? What's your level of comfort today? Do you just need some time to get yourself together? And the answer may be yes, the answer may be no, but either way, we give what each other needs, and it's wonderful to be in supportive spaces like that. I want to make sure that every time we enter and get ready to do this work, this heavy and cathartic work, that we are leaving space for ourselves to feel and to regain composure, as well as be supported and built up by the people we're around.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So rehearsals, we might be like an hour and a half, just doing the work, but there's at least 15 to 20 minutes of us just tending to each other's soul needs. And I think that that's what's made this moment so special, is we continue to pour into each other. It isn't just the process. It's about making sure that the vessels, the containers for that process are okay as well.
Yes.
Absolutely. And with you having worked on so many different productions and so many different roles, with this particular production and this wonderful cast you have, and the support behind it, I know that this has to feel a little different than the other shows you've been part of. Can you tell us a little bit about, the differences here, as opposed to the other shows that you've been in or involved with?
Sure, naturally. So anytime there's a collection of Black people being able to do theater our own way, do our narratives our own way, it's all automatically different. There's a connection in the culture that really just is a heartbeat, and it quickens, man, every time. I love being able to share that space or create that space. But for this particular production, there's a lot of feminine energy, obviously. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity to not only check the systems that I've been indoctrinated in, but also to be a place of support. I understand that going into this, I'm a man, and sometimes men are the targets of the situations that they're speaking of. And not even all men, obviously, but men in general, because it's usually men. But in this particular experience, what I have enjoyed the most has been the ability to feel, the understanding that, okay, I have to be open-hearted for this process, and let them take the lead in their own stories.
Love that.
It's really important to me.
Yeah. How as your role in this production, how much or how big of a role does empathy play in this?
Oh my gosh. I mean, there's obvious empathy is at the core and the underlayer, and it's the top skin, it's the topsoil, like it's all of it.
Right.
But even with empathy, you know, we have structure, we have critique, feedback, but it's never given from a place of like what I think I see is best. It's from a how can we bridge the gap, and how can I set you up to succeed? Like that's what it's all about. It's never about ego. It's always about making sure you get what you need.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely feels like the kind of production where everyone is kind of, armor is off, open wounds type stuff. I think in order to, it seems like, and maybe I could be wrong, but especially because you both have been way more into, theater and this aspect for sure than I have ever been. But it almost seems like you have to be completely vulnerable in a piece like this in order for it to be authentic. Am I wrong or?
No, you're totally on base. In fact, I actually had to miss the first read through because I was out of town. I was in Texas at the time. But when I came back, I just was like, I understand where I'm at, who I am. Please know that I'm never going to ask you to do more labor, but I will ask you if I'm in the wrong to pull me aside and let me know that I'm in the wrong, So immediately I wanted to set the tone and let them know I'm not perfect, but I'm here with you. I'm trying to work with you. I'm willing to do what I got to do to help you be safe and feel safe. And to further add to that, there's a couple of things that both Brianna and I had in mind before we started this process. We had a couple of conversations with Mary Young, who has been doing a lot of intimacy coordination advisement and giving us strategies to, make sure everyone feels safe, make sure that no one is uncomfortable, and how to navigate situations when there is discomfort. We also instituted a safe word, which was hot comb.
Okay, yeah,
I love it.
Very specific to the culture and to what we're doing, but also was like, okay, I just need a moment. And while we had that system in place, we didn't have to use it as often because people knew that we were always going to be approaching this from the state of I don't want to say not pushing boundaries, but not provoking undue harm or stress.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, the first day that I was able to meet with them, and we sat and did a run through. We talked about different situations, and I gotta commend these ladies because they came into this process willing to be open-hearted. And I think the beautiful thing about me not being there, while it wasn't intended, it actually was a perfect setup. The ladies were able to talk and do the dialogue without any men in the room.
Yeah.
These are very personal experiences. And then indirectly, when you have stories like this, people begin to share their own experiences. So I came in, there was already some of this work done to make sure that there was a foundation laid and people felt safe. But then they took it a step further and they trusted me. And I can't take that for granted. I've never taken that for granted because there's a lot of things that people go through that shape who they are. So when you do theater like this, you aren't really sure how people are going to receive it or how they're going to deliver it, but especially when it's similar experiences, right?
Yeah.
So for them to share that, all of those stories and their experiences with me, and to be willing to be emotional with me and allow me to be emotional with them. Like it that I can, yeah.
Well,
My
I'll tell you
speechless.
what. I feel like in my experience, the only times in which I have 100% felt like I could come into a creative space and be vulnerable while using my skills, while using my senses, and being mindful of others. I mean, it's predominantly been in Black spaces, or spaces. I grew up predominantly raised by women, um, and I think that is the type of environment that you've built, and that takes real power for sure.
I'm very, very lucky to be able to experience this, and I appreciate each and all of those women because, man, I, what they're doing is commendable, not just because it's tough, but because it's real.
Mm-hmm.
I just the authenticity and the commitment on stage is so enticing. You really can't help but to be drawn in. And
Yeah.
what we've been able to do in this production, um, both with Brianna and my direction, and Mariah Brooks's choreography, has I might be biased, but I haven't seen anything like it here.
That's it. I mean, it sounds like you're working with an incredible, powerful group of women on this, and so working with them and doing everything you're doing. What are just give us like two of those main pieces that you absolutely love about this production right now?
Mm. This is going to sound so crazy, but catharsis is such a huge theme in this. There's a relief that comes with being open and vulnerable while sharing your experiences or saying these words, and being open to that vulnerability. Like there is something, like, we're talking about heavy stuff, and I leave every night feeling light. We laugh at the end of rehearsal, and any times that we've had to grieve together, we've done it together, and that's made it so much easier. So the catharsis of all of that is just beautiful. But I'll also say, and I'm real big on this anyway, but collective burden bearing. Like,
Okay.
Yeah.
everybody is doing their own part and shining in their own way, and then at the end, like, we're all together saying what we've been through, sharing what we've been through, and then passing it on.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like, it's yeah.
Yeah.
And you can really feel that. I have seen little clips. I've, seen our girls here and there through the Hoagland and things. And I mean, you can feel it. You really can. And with that said, I mean, with all of the power and the might and the talent and the intuition that has gone into this production, what is it that you're hoping it brings to your audiences and spreads throughout our community?
In every ounce of theater that I do, I hope that there is some form of healing. Whether the healing is emotional or it's the removal of ignorance. This iteration of healing, I hope, is empathy. Because I myself have had to, like, really just take in some of the material and reflect on my own interactions and my choices, approaches to situations and people. But I really hope that we can get to a point where people are willing to empathize and then consider and then not just include, but really respect Black women. We've had an influx, a heightened frequency of femicide, especially when it comes to Black women and Black trans women. And going into that, I really was mindful of that and dare I say prayerful even, because I wanted to make sure that this wasn't just a piece of theater that people would just say, oh, it was good, and woo, and then move on. I wanted people to feel something that carried them to a transformative experience.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, and this, because I know we've been talking about these beautiful, powerful, intelligent, and forces of nature, these women who are just moving in period.
Mm-hmm.
But I was asked a question about how men could really feel like this is an important piece of work. And aside from the empathy and the reflection that you have as a man to these women sharing these narratives, I think it's going to prompt some men to talk about the subtle ways that we betray ourselves and women.
Yeah.
By not being open, by not dealing with our issues, our own stuff, and how that affects other people. So I'm really hoping, I hope for sure, a lot of women are like, that this is a cathartic side to the things that they have experienced in their own lives.
Yeah.
But I also hope it's a turning point for some men for men in general, to be better, to be protectors, to be nurturing, caring, vulnerable, and open, and empathetic.
We've already bragged about Mr. Guyton here quite a bit. However, he wears many hats in our community, and something that just resonated with me was how you stated you are attracted to the meatier and heavier subjects. Reggie is also directing The Nature of Freedom. That's at the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Museum. Those shows are at noon on the 13th, 17th, and 19th, and an evening performance on June 18th at 6:30. This is a great example of how Reggie and the people he collaborates with, tap into different groups of people and deliver not just information, not just entertainment, but history. Tell us a little bit about Nature of Freedom and what that is and what you expect of it.
Sure. So, Nature of Freedom is a literary commemoration of Juneteenth. All of the works and quotes that we have utilized and put into a narrative are all on the relationship of the Emancipation Proclamation, the word and message about Juneteenth when it first actually reached Galveston, Texas, which was 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed. And then sort of the ways that Black community has overcome the different hurdles and obstacles that have happened after that fallout. We all know that, or you may not know, but the Reconstruction period didn't actually happen the way that Lincoln would have wanted it to happen. So there was a period of Jim Crow and segregation and other legal things that really hindered the progress of Black people in general. So to be able to talk about the triumph of Juneteenth while also still addressing the inequity of this nation, and be hopeful about it is the premise of Nature of Freedom. It's the nature of freedom.
Hey, you know what? That this piece of work really does. It pulls together the present and the past and hope for the future. It really is fantastic. It's great. So with that said, tell us a little bit about what Juneteenth means to you and how it's represented here in our community in Springfield.
So I didn't realize, but I had been celebrating Juneteenth since I was a kid. My dad's side of the family, like he's the youngest of like 11. So plenty of cousins, plenty of aunts and uncles. And then, when I was younger, pre-social media, it was very important for us to be able to connect and see each other and love on each other and share space. So to be able to celebrate that holiday now and have it acknowledged, like it's further proof that Black people are so dope, like that.
Absolutely.
No matter what, we will find a way to celebrate, to have community, to be together, and to feed each other. So Juneteenth to me is some people would like to say it's like New Year's Eve in a way, like the crossing of one time into another. But to me, it's like facing a mirror that can take you back. Like
Sure.
I'm reflecting on legacy and generations while I'm acknowledging that I get to do really cool things because I am free, quote unquote. I get to do really amazing things with my community because I am equal. I am a citizen. I am, liberated.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's, because I could go on and on and on.
No, it's okay. I mean, this is a huge piece, and I think, especially, we'll talk a little bit about your production momentarily, but I think, the three of us, we are people of color, and it's so interesting, the difference between your experience with Juneteenth and myself. I'm mixed race individual, and so I mean, to be honest, I had no idea what this Juneteenth was, and so it was an education for me, and it was one of those where the way I was educated about it was like, this is our 4th of July. Like this is when everyone was, as you said, quote unquote, free. You know what I mean?
Right.
Systemically is different, but on paper, and so I think that is an amazing project you're working on. I think it's going to be an amazing production, and I think it's just so important because people truly minimize the culture. You know what I mean? Like truly they do, because it gets uptaken and folded and put away somewhere, and there are bits and pieces, and it's so not out there for everyone to see. They have to dig through, and I love that what you're doing is not making it's here is this in your face. This is what it is. I'm explaining it to you. I'm going to give this to you, this knowledge, kind of a Prometheus thing. Here's this fire, take the fire. So yeah. I think that's fantastic.
Can I also say that it's we talked about difference in background, but like
sure.
Just recently, I'll say probably within like the last 10 years or so, I've really started to understand some of the things that my family has had to go through, like on both sides. When you talk, like, because most of my family's from the South, especially on my dad's side. Like, my grandmother was from, I want to say, Alabama, and then we have family in Mississippi, Louisiana, Georgia, and we didn't end up here by accident. You know what I mean? There's a process that happened, and the reason is racism. But the stories that will never be spoken about because of that migration.
Yeah.
Like that is part of the history of Juneteenth in itself too, is acknowledging that there are things that died with other people, and maybe not in the sense of like physical death, certainly that's included, but Black people from the South who had lived under the experience of Jim Crow, the self that they knew had to transform in order for them to be the selves that they were in the North. There's a whole adjustment period that people didn't really get to grieve. And I think having a celebration of Juneteenth, as you said, our 4th of July, like, okay, we may have lost some recipes, so to speak, or some stories or ways of living or persevering, but there is a newness in being able to say, I'm not where I was before.
Yeah. Well, and I think, like, for me, I think a lot of people, because they see that a lot of these are dramatic whenever it's people of color creating experiences, and they don't understand it. And I'm just like, no, you don't understand what it's like to be a person of color coming from roots where perseverance is key. Like, you know, I felt super close on my dad's side. We came from Kentucky into Missouri. And so I'm blessed that I have a lot of family on that side who had the family tree, and we actually have sales papers of it would be my four-time great grandmother. And so when I look at that, I'm like, you know, I showed Emily, my wife, I showed friends, because for me, I'm like, that's a point of pride. I'm just like, look at this woman persevered. Her husband was sold. She and her kid were sold, and somehow she made it, and I'm here now. But I think other people get so sad about it, and I'm just like, no, that's the Black experience, is perseverance. And
Right.
so I feel like Juneteenth is that celebration of you know, we all came together in that moment, and I can say, you can say Americans, but I mean Black folk. It was in that moment that the people over here weren't enslaved, and then the people over here were. Okay, we're no longer on books enslaved, you know.
And it's also, I mean, it's also a celebration and a reminder that it is okay, and not just for us, not
Yeah.
for us to find comfort in that, you know, it is okay, but for everyone else to
Yeah.
know
Mm-hmm.
that this is okay,
Very
you know, per our constitution, per our freedom, per, you know, the things that, you know, we were promised. This is okay, and there's
Right.
nothing that can be done about that. Juneteenth is, I mean, it's important. It's not just a celebration, but it is a stance.
Yep.
It is
Absolutely.
yes, absolutely, and a marking point too. I think that when we decided as a nation to acknowledge the history of Juneteenth and made it a holiday, there was a certain understanding. Whether I can get into too much right now, but whether or not we wanted to recognize it on a global scale, we recognize it as a part of our history.
Yeah.
It is a part of the original sin of America. And this was a marking point that said, okay, for sure, things are shifting in a way that we have to understand is going to continue. Like, we cannot just be stuck in one way. We are forced from this point on to have to pivot.
Yeah.
And that's the adaptability I need to be reminded of.
Reggie, thank you so much for joining us. It was
for having me.
phenomenal to hear about, you know, everything you're doing. I mean, I think it seems like a really exciting time to see a Reggie joint. You know what I mean? Like, I'm so excited.
It's always a good time.
Yeah.
I see what you're doing.
So,
Love the fight.
so I mean, as the listener already knows, they better go see this. It's gonna be huge. They better get their tickets quickly too.
Like immediately.
Yeah. So,
It's soon. And
four
very
colored
soon.
girls who have considered suicide when the rainbow is enough. It premieres tonight, Friday night. And you can actually get your tickets at the STC website, or go on Facebook and look at more details there. So
You can also go to the Hoagland Center for the Arts at hctfa.org/tickets to get your tickets.
well, all right, guys. Well, this is a monthly podcast, so we will see you next month. You can listen to this podcast on YouTube, on Facebook, and I believe they're going to post them on all socials. And if you're sticking with us this far, why don't you go ahead, give us a little comment, give us a like, let us know how we're doing, because this is just the first of many, and we can't wait to go beyond the boards with you.
Absolutely. STC has an amazing season coming up. We've got wonderful people to connect with, some behind the scenes bits that we know you'll love. So until next time, my theater friends.
Ciao.